It wasn't good. I gained back all the weight that I'd lost, was back in my bigger, clothes, and just feeling like a failure, feeling defeated, feeling like I didn't even care enough about myself.
Sandy, how did you find Carnivore?
Well, first I want to say thank you for having me today, Dave. I think I'm your number one fan. I don't care who says they are. I believe that I am. I watch your shows every single day, and seeing the testimonials of so many people who have changed their way of eating and had some of the most amazing results like I have, it really keeps me inspired and keeps me motivated. So thank you for having me. I like to say that Carnivore found me in 2017. At that time, I was really sick in my body. I was grieving the loss of my sister 4 years prior, and an unexpected loss that none of us saw coming. She wasn't sick. She wasn't overweight. She was very healthy. And her death really sent me reeling. And so by 2017, I had checked out emotionally. I was in full blown grief mode. And I just was not taking care of myself. I'd been morbidly obese for years prior to that, and dangerously high blood pressure, joint pain, sciatica, you name it, I had it. So by 2017, I just was tired. I had tried every diet under the sun, and had great success in the beginning. And then, life would throw a curveball and I would just give up. I would fall off the wagon. The wagon would run me over, drag me, and then I would start all over again. So I was on YouTube and I was looking for some information about keto. I had done Atkins probably 20 years before then, but as soon as the leg cramps kicked in, I was like, oh no, this is not for me. Had no idea about electrolytes or any of that. I just thought, okay, no, this is not. My leg should not be hurting like this because I'm not eating carbs. Didn't understand the correlation. So I had heard about keto, so I was looking for some information on YouTube about keto, and up pops Dr. Ken Berry. And I listened to his video, and then I did a deep dive into all of his videos because I wanted to really understand what it was he was talking about. I didn't, my first thought was, I'm eating all that red meat. That's dangerous. That's bad for your heart. Why would somebody do that? But then I kept watching his videos and listening to what he was saying. And it started to make sense to me that if you eliminate pretty much everything else, but keep the meat, you'll be able to see that the meat is not the problem. It's the carbs and the sugar that you're eating with the meat, and sometimes the vegetables that you're eating with the meat. That is the real issue. And Dr. Ken Berry drove that point home for me. It took me a while. I didn't jump in right away. I watched his videos for quite some time. And then I discovered, I want to say Dr. Chafee, and a few of the other really influential carnivore doctors. And it was important to me, and it made me feel a little bit at ease seeing that they were doctors. And then I did my homework on, who they were, how long they'd been in practice. I really did my due diligence to make sure that these were legitimate doctors, and they are. And so I felt comfortable with starting the new way of eating. And so it took me about 3 months of researching and digging really deep to find out exactly what it was that I would be doing. And I went ahead and I jumped in about 3 months after I found Dr. Berry's video. And it was easy for me because I was an emotional eater. I had an addiction to sugar and carbs, so much so that I didn't even think about what I was eating most of the time. I just went on my emotion. If I was sad, I wanted something crunchy. If I was celebrating or I was happy, then I wanted something sweet. And I had these foods in different categories for my different emotions. And then I had the category that was, just eat it because you want it, which is the worst category because I was just eating everything. And I had ballooned all the way up to 295 pounds. Um, and I had a lot of shame around that. I didn't want people to know how big I'd gotten. And because I'm tall, I'm 5'8.5", it didn't look like I weighed that much. But the scale doesn't lie. You can lie to yourself all day long, but that scale is going to tell you the truth, live and in living color. So when I got on the scale and I saw 295, I knew I had to do something. And my blood pressure was just ridiculous. And I'd had chronic blood pressure for a really long time. So I was ready to make a change. And so I started Carnivore in 2017. And at first I was still eating fast food, but I would eat the burger without the bun or the vegetables or the condiments. Um, and I would just eat it with cheese and that was it. But it was still fast food. I don't know what they cooked the meat in. I wasn't there yet. I hadn't evolved yet. So I just felt like, okay, if I get rid of the bun and I get rid of the veggies and the condiments and all of that, then I should be good. And I noticed right away that I wasn't as bloated as I normally was. I was also eating a lot of chicken, but it was rotisserie chicken from my local grocery store. I know now that that chicken has, quite a bit of sugar in it. But it was working for me then. And I was eating some seafood, but any seafood that I had, I would grill it or steam it. I wasn't eating anything fried. And I was consistent with following the carnivore protocol. And within the first 2 weeks, I believe I lost 21 pounds in 2 weeks. And I could not believe it. And I know people like to say, oh, that was water weight. It was weight. That's all that mattered to me. It was weight. And it subtracted from that 295, 294. So I was excited then and I was like, okay, I'm going to keep going. I want to keep going. I stayed on the carnivore way of eating for, I want to say about 5 or 6 months, I think. And I lost over 40 pounds. I was down like 3 pant sizes and feeling really good. And in about the second month, I started walking the track at a school by my home. I started walking every day, a mile, every day, every day, every day, walking a mile, walking a mile. And the weight was literally falling off of me. And um, then my life kind of took a turn. Things started to not be so great. My marriage was in trouble and I knew it, but I didn't know how to address it. And I guess you could also say I didn't want to address it. And so my stress level went way, way up. And I reverted back to what had never let me down before, which was eating and overeating. But by that time, I had started eating in secret. I didn't want people to see me eating all these high fat, high sugar foods. I went back to full blown fast food, you name it, fries, the milkshake, the cookie, the apple pie, the triple cheeseburger with all the stuff on it. I mean, I just fell headfirst back into my old habits. And it wasn't good. I gained back all the weight that I'd lost, was back in my bigger, clothes, and just feeling like a failure, feeling defeated, feeling like I didn't even care enough about myself to do better. And that brought my self esteem down. I was depressed, although at that time I didn't know I was depressed. And it was a really dark period in my life. Fast forward to 2021, my marriage officially ended after 28 years. And I hit the bottom of the bottom. And so I decided that I was going to go to therapy. I had talked to my best friend about it, and who, by the way, her name is Sandi too. So, it's a God thing, I believe. And she really encouraged me to go and get some counseling, and I did. I found a really great counselor. I was able to make a connection with him, and he didn't tell me what to do. He just gave me a safe but brave space to think out loud. And I had a lot of thoughts in my head that I needed to get out, that I'd been holding in for a long time because I had shut down. I was depressed and I was suppressing a lot of childhood trauma and then anger and disappointment about my marriage. And I needed to get that out. And I'm so thankful that, I took the advice of my best friend and I went to counseling. It was the best thing I could have done. And he just helped me to start to navigate my new life. I married my seventh grade boyfriend. He was my first and only boyfriend. So we've known each other for a long time. We'd been friends for a long time. We were married for a long time. We brought children into the world together. And so it was devastating when my marriage ended, and I needed time to heal from that. So during that time, I was not thinking about what I was eating. I just would eat whatever I wanted to eat, but I was focused on healing my mental health. That was really my priority at that time. I couldn't do both. I couldn't do the physical health and the mental health. I had to do one at a time. And so that was 2021. Um, Fast forward to 2024, and I had finally found my footing. I was getting used to being single for the first time in my life, living by myself for the first time in my life. It was an adjustment, but I was doing really well. And I went to therapy twice a month, every month for 3 straight years. And it was what I needed at the time. And I'm so thankful that it was there and that I was able to utilize that help. And so in August of 2024, I was back to 200 and some pounds, up there, almost to 300. And I decided, okay, now I'm ready to start focusing on my weight because I'm getting older. I'm 56. I'll be 57 in April. And I remember thinking my biological father died at 55. And that memory, I'm like, I'm a year older than my dad was when he died. And I remember talking to myself and saying, Sandi, what do you really want? What kind of life do you want? What kind of health do you want as you venture into, your golden years? And I know my golden years are a few years away, but 57, I've got less years in front of me than I do behind me. And so I had to make a conscious decision that I was going to make some changes when it came to my health. And so I was on YouTube in August of 2024, last year, and again, searching around for what I could do. And I remembered Carnivore. I remember how well I did. I remembered that it wasn't a chore to follow that way of eating. It was actually much easier and more simplified than what I was doing because I know now that nobody needs 50 different varieties of food. It's just you don't need all that food. So the simplified way of eating worked for me. So I went back to what worked and found Dr. Berry again and many, many, many other carnivore influencers, ketogenic woman that I absolutely adore, and Steak and Butter Gal and Laura Spack, I think it is. I really like her videos too. And I just said, okay, I'm going to jump in. It didn't take me 3 months this time. I jumped right in. And I started Carnivore on September the 16th of 2024. And it was much easier for me. It's been much easier for me this time because my life is so much more peaceful. And I work really hard to keep my stress level at a minimum. And my job, although it can be stressful, it's what I love to do. I love the work that I do. And so it's not a chore for me to go to work every day. And I think that's why I've been able to maintain for almost 4 months. It'll be 4 months on the 16th. And it's been a lot easier for me this time. And so I'm down 35 pounds since September the 16th. Yes, and my clothes are getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I have a dilemma because I have a goal weight that I want to reach. So I don't want to keep buying clothes, but then I can't wear clothes that are hanging off me either. So I have to buy a little bit at a time. But my goal is to get under 200 pounds by my birthday in April. And it will be the first time I've been under 200 pounds since I gave birth to my daughter almost 39 years ago. So this is my goal. This is what I'm aiming for. Whether I make my goal or not, I'm going to continue on eating the way I'm eating because I feel so much better. Within 3 days of starting carnivore, every ache and pain I had in my body left. And I know now that it's because I released the inflammation that was in my body. And I remember one day I woke up and I jumped out of bed and I scared myself because normally I have to sit on the side of the bed and like stretch a little bit before I stand up. And then the minute I would stand up, I would have instant migraine. But this particular day, I just got up and I stopped and I looked around like, just jump out the bed. I could not believe it. I did not have a migraine. My body didn't hurt. My feet didn't hurt. My legs did not hurt. I just stood up and I started walking. And I couldn't believe it. And I knew it was because I had changed what I was eating. I knew it.
And that feeling has continued?
Yes, that feeling has continued. Now mind you, I would have pain in my feet when I would wake up in the morning since I was a little kid. That wasn't an obesity kid because I wasn't an overweight child. That wasn't an obesity problem. That was something that was happening when I was little, and I to this day I still don't know why my feet would hurt when I would wake up, but they don't hurt anymore. All of that went away. My migraines went away. My sciatica issue went away. My lower lumbar pain went away. Just all my joints don't ache anymore. Um, my blood pressure is coming down. It's not where I want it to be, but it's so much lower than it used to be. And my cholesterol numbers are golden. And in the year before I started carnivore, my triglycerides were in the 300s. Triglycerides, super high because I was eating so much fast food and so much sugar. And now I just had my blood work done on the 3rd of this month of January, and my triglycerides are 58. And HDL, I want to say my HDL is 60. Um, so I'm down there where I need to be. LDL is 100 and something, I think. But I'm not worried about it because I understand how to read my cholesterol numbers now. And so I know that the body needs cholesterol though. So and when you do a low carb diet, your LDL tends to elevate. But if those triglycerides and that HDL comes down a little bit, it's okay. So I'm just really thankful that I have the opportunity to try this again now that I'm in a different season in my life and in a different space and time in my life where I can dedicate more time to taking care of me. And I believe this is the best work that I can do for myself is to be in the absolute best health that I can possibly be in for my children, my grandchildren, my mother who's still with me, um, people that love and care for me and for me. I don't think anybody loves and cares for me more than I do. And I need to make sure that I demonstrate that. I think it's really important. It's great to love and care for other people. But what are you doing to love and care for yourself is the question that I had to ask myself. And I wasn't doing a whole lot. But now, self care is my number one priority.
Right. And that's awesome to hear. I think there's a couple of things with that. I agree. Like you need to look after yourself first, right? Because you can't help other people from an empty cup. Yeah.
Right,
And
right.
um I think the kind of clarity of thought and the focus that comes with carnivore really helps you to actually properly
Mhm,
look after yourself. Whereas,
mhm,
before it, like you're in this kind of hazy thinking, this brain fog state, this
mhm,
so like looking after yourself can just be kind of mindlessly sitting down on the couch watching the TV or something and not really even thinking about what you're doing, right?
mhm. Oh, absolutely. I forgot to talk about the mental health part. Um, I call it a wave of peace. And I know some people call it the carnivore zen. I call it a wave of peace. A wave of peace washed over me about 2 weeks into carnivore. I just felt an overwhelming sense of calm, peace, and safety within my body. And I've never felt that before. Never. Not even as a kid. Uh, so I knew it was because I had eliminated the carbs and the sugar. I just knew it. I could feel it. And I still have it. I have more of a sense of optimism now, at a level that I haven't had in years. The optimism is the part that I want to hold on to because that's what keeps me focused on eating the way I need to be eating and taking care of my body the way I need to. I just started exercising on the 30th of December. So that first 90 days, I didn't exercise at all, and I still dropped 30 pounds. Now I'm exercising, I'm working out 3 to 4 times a week. I drink 2 to 3 liters of water every day. I get my electrolytes in every day. And my meals consist of mostly red meat because my body feels the best when I eat red meat. So steak, um, mostly beef. I eat just a tiny bit of pork, of course, with bacon. Every now and then I'll have a pork steak, but for the most part, I'm eating beef, I'm eating lamb. I tried bison for the first time the other day. I had some bison burgers and they were really good. And I love my scrambled cheesy eggs. I know some people say they can't tolerate cheese, but cheese doesn't bother me. It doesn't interfere with my weight loss. It doesn't make me feel some kind of way. I just, I do great with cheese. I drink coffee maybe once or twice. I can't even say once or twice a week because I really have to have a taste for coffee. But when I do have coffee, I have a splash of heavy cream and a teaspoon of allulose in my coffee. Oh, and my butter. I put my butter in my coffee too. Usually about a tablespoon of butter. And I froth it up really good so it's nice and thick and it's so good. But I don't drink coffee very often. But when I have a taste for it, that's the way I make it. And I absolutely love it. I'm satisfied. I'm satiated. I'm not full. I'm not stuffed. I don't get the itis after I eat and need to go lay down and have a nap. I can eat and then go work out, which is normally what I do. If I have a ribeye steak and 6 scrambled eggs with cheese, I promise you I do not eat for another 24 hours because I'm not hungry. And I eat my first
Right.
meal every day at noon. Yeah,
At
yeah. So,
noon?
yes, at noon. I eat at noon. On the days that I only eat one meal, I eat it at noon. If I eat a second meal, I'll eat it when I get off work at 5. And then I don't eat anymore until noon the next day. And there are days when I'm not trying to intermittent fast because I don't focus on intermittent fasting, but I end up fasting 22, 23, 24 hours because I'm satiated. My body is nourished and I'm not hungry. Now I let my body tell me when I'm hungry. I don't let my emotions tell me when I'm hungry. I listen to my body and I know when my body is saying I need to eat something.
So, what time are you typically waking up in the morning, like on a weekday?
During the week, I'm up usually at 6. Um, I start work
Right,
at 8, and the only thing I'll have at 8 is water. That's when I start drinking my
right.
water, but I don't have anything
So,
to eat until noon.
yeah, so for someone watching this that's never experienced carnivore before, they might think, "That's crazy. I can't wake up, not eat anything, and go to work." Like, can you explain the how you don't need to eat?
The only thing I can say is I don't eat because I'm not hungry. I only eat when I'm hungry, and I get a feeling in my stomach when I'm hungry, and I'll just go, "Oh, okay, it's time to eat." And you'll find out as you have been on the carnivore way of eating for like a week or two that you just don't have a taste for food until you have a taste for food. My cravings for sugar and carbs are gone. I don't crave, and I'm telling you, Dave, I was a carbaholic. Desserts, cakes, cookies, pies, Pop Tarts, Captain Crunch Berry, all the cereal you can think of. I absolutely loved it. I would eat it all. I craved sugar. I was a sugar craving mad woman before I started carnivore. And I do not have any cravings for sugar or carbs. I don't have any. I don't miss it. I don't buy it. It's not in my home. And I live by myself. So if I wanted to eat it, I could, but I just don't want it. So I would say to someone who's thinking about starting carnivore, and this is what I've always told my children this when they even when they were little, and even now I tell them this. The time is gonna go by anyway. So you may as well take advantage of an opportunity to improve your health. So if you live to see the next 10 days, those are 10 days that you could have used changing the way you eat for the better. So you may as well take advantage of it. Anybody should be able to invest 10 days into themselves. Yes, 30 days is better because you'll get a better feeling for how you do on a meat based diet. But even if you can only do 10 days, just eating beef, bacon, butter, eggs, give yourself 10 days. Invest that time into yourself and then see how you feel. Carnivore is an elimination diet. It's going to help you understand where the inflammation comes from in terms of what you eat because you're going to eliminate mostly everything. So when you narrow it down to just meat and eggs and cook everything in butter and you have bacon too, and the inflammation leaves your body, you're going to be able to tell, okay, it wasn't the meat, it was the other stuff. And I've seen people say, it's the holidays. I saw this a lot around Christmas time. It's the holidays. I'm going to add blah, blah, blah. And I'm just going to eat like I normally used to eat. And then I'll get back to carnivore later. And then they come back and they say, I was so sick from adding those carbs and that sugar back after eating carnivore for 3 months, 5 months, 7 months, a year. I got so sick. And it was because I saw all of them saying that they were getting sick that I didn't do that. I did the opposite. I ate carnivore for the holidays. I had Christmas at my daughter's house, or no, Thanksgiving at my daughter's house. She cooked a ton of different things that I normally would eat. I ate my steak and my eggs and a little baby bowl of collard greens that I wanted to try. And that was it. I didn't eat any of the sweets, any of the other luscious things that I normally would eat. I wanted to stay focused and I know what makes my body feel sick. And I didn't want to be sick.
So that's an interesting point. So what kind of feedback have you had from family and friends about this? They're like they're eating cake and you're eating steak and it's like, what's going on?
My kids are funny. They tease me about the way I eat, but they're really happy that I found something that works for me. They're proud of me that I've been able to stick to what I said I was going to do, which is maintain this way of eating until I reach my goal and beyond. I'm not going to reach my goal weight and then go back to eating what I was eating. It doesn't mean that I won't reintroduce, like low sugar fruit, berries, strawberries, blueberries, raspberries sometime in the future. But right now, I don't miss that. I don't miss not eating vegetables because vegetables made my stomach hurt. And I never knew why. I didn't understand why. Broccoli, oh, I love my daughter's broccoli. She makes it a certain way that I absolutely love, but it makes my stomach hurt. And so I don't miss not eating vegetables. I never was a steak eater. I rarely ever ate steak. But now you give me a big juicy ribeye with a whole bunch of fat on it, and I'm good for at least 24 hours. So I love lamb now. I love the bison. I'm doing what feels good to me. I eat salmon. I eat jumbo prawns. It just makes me feel good mentally and physically. And so my children are proud of me. They're happy for me. My family hasn't really said too much. My friends, I think they think I'm crazy. I really do. I think they think I'm crazy. And I heard comments like, "Oh, you can't eat red meat. It's not good for you. And it has to be lean meat, and you need to eat lean." And I'm just like, that's not my experience. If that's the way that you want to eat, so be it. But that hasn't been my experience. Eating the carnivore way, it's been the opposite. Eating healthy fat and eating red meat is healing my body. And this I know for sure. And so when I have social situations where I go out with friends, or like yesterday, we had a really big breakfast at my church, and I brought my food because I knew there wouldn't be anything that I could eat, that would adhere to the way I eat now. So I brought my own container of steak and eggs, and that's what I ate. And it just works for me. I don't feel pressured when I go out, for social situations. I don't feel pressured to eat what everybody else is eating. I eat what I know nourishes my body, because my body and my health is my responsibility. My joy, my peace, that's my responsibility. And I found something that increases my level of joy and increases my level of peace. And it's healing my body. So I'm going to stick with that. And there's no pressure. People respect what I'm
I think
doing, and most of all, respect it.
mm, I think you touched on a great point there, like you're responsible for how you feel and your joy and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But I
Yeah.
think what happens is we go through our entire lives because we're eating the junk food and
Mhm.
the food that you know touches our emotions more. And we just think we're out of control. Like we've got no control over this stuff. And when you change the way you eat and you get rid of the poisons, you finally realize, well,
Right.
I am in control of all this. I'm actually in the driver's seat here.
Yes, I 100% agree. I felt completely out of control for decades when it came to food. Now, when it came to my job, I was in complete control, very professional, doing my job to the best of my ability, and doing really great. Kudos all the time. But when it came to food, it was that emotional connection that I built. Um, and I had these trauma triggers that I wasn't aware of that needed to be healed, and counseling helped me heal those. And so I finally learned how to not address the trigger by eating. But that took counseling. I had to go to counseling to learn that. And I would have flashbacks of, some things that happened to me in my childhood. And those flashbacks would cause me to go and search for food, especially sweets. That's when I really wanted sweets. And I learned, how to address the trigger without reaching for an emotional crutch. And I think that's why I'm more successful on carnivore this time than I was in 2017, because of that counseling that I went through.
So, Sandy, if a friend came to you and said, "Okay, look, I'm convinced. You're looking good. I want to change my. I'm going to get my emotions under control. I want to lose a bit of weight. I want to feel better. Tell me, what do I need to do to get started with this way of eating?" What would you tell them?
I've had a few friends come and say that to me. And the first thing that I do is explain to them how I got started and what and how I eat now. And then I send them Dr. Ken Berry's Carnivore 101 video. And I tell them to watch that video. And, you know, people these days have a really short attention span. So if they see a 30 or 40-minute video, they don't want to watch it. But I reiterate, take this 30 minutes to invest in your health. Your health is your job. So, I mean, it's up to you. I can't make you watch it. But this is what helped me make the decision to make the switch. So I'm just going to send you this information. Do with it what you will. If you have any questions, reach out to me and let me know. And that's what I do. And I've done that with a few of my friends. I've had a family member, my cousin and her husband, switched over to carnivore recently. But all of the friends that reached out to me about what I'm doing and what I'm eating, I sent the information. They haven't come back to me to say that they've started. And that's okay because you got to do it when you're ready. I wasn't ready. I had to wait, get some other things healthy, mainly my mind, my mental state. Um, and then once I did that, I was ready. So people do things in their own time and in their own way. I don't push it. I'm just going to keep letting my results speak for me. And anyone who wants to know what I'm doing, I'm happy to share. I don't lie about the way I eat. I don't say I'm on a modified this or that. No, this is what I eat. This is what I'm doing. It's called the carnivore way of eating. And this is what's working for me. And I believe whatever the ailment, I believe it can work for you. Now, of course, do you want to talk to your doctor about it first? Of course, I'm not a doctor. But once you do that and you get the go ahead, give it a try. The days are going to go by anyway.
Nice. Um, so Sandi, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media?
I do. I'm on Facebook at the Coco Carnivore. It's right there on the screen. It's a brand new Facebook page that I created so that I can document and vlog my carnivore journey. And so I'll be posting blog entries over there at the Coco Carnivore on Facebook. And then on YouTube, I have my own YouTube channel. I have my own podcast. It's called the Girl Talk Sunday Podcast, and it is on YouTube.
Awesome. I'll link to both of those in the show notes. Sandi, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, Dave. I appreciate you so much. I wish you all the best.